You model emotional maturity when you can talk about painful experiences without bitterness. You can do it when you're not trying to seek external accountability, AKA justice. And that is what builds trust and authority with others, but most importantly, with yourself. Hello, and welcome back to Reflect Forward. I'm your host, Kerry Siggins, and I'm so glad you are here today. As leaders, we all have those moments where someone's words or actions cut deep, where someone says something really hurtful or does something hurtful, whether it's intentional or unintentional. Maybe it's betrayal, criticism, or a mistake that just costs so much more than what you expected. But leadership isn't about holding on to what happened. It's about how we process it, learn from it, and move forward. It's how we create accountability in those situations when justice is not on the table. So, in this episode, I'm exploring what accountability really looks like, especially when there's no way to hold a person accountable and there's no way to create justice, and how by letting these things go, you can create the most powerful version of yourself. So, how this whole episode came up is I was talking to a friend of mine, and they were explaining a situation where another person really hurt them. And they were frustrated because there was no way to hold this person accountable. This person is out of their life now. And the question was, how do you create accountability when there's no way to get accountability? And that's where this idea of accountability versus justice really became so clear in my head. How do you create accountability when the situation is gone so that you can let go of it, especially when there's no opportunity to get justice? Or maybe, I don't know, revenge, whatever you're feeling like, oh, I'm so frustrated with this situation. And so I thought this would be a really great podcast because I've absolutely had this happen to me. I've had people say angry, untrue things about me and have it really hurt and do it in a really public way. And I said, that's not me. That's not true. But there's no way to create accountability around it. There's no way to get justice for someone making up stories or lying about you or lying to you and then leaving your life or whatever the situation is. And this is just a natural part of the leadership train. And as leaders, we have to develop tough skin and recognize that we are not going to be able to control what people do and say and how people act. All we can do is control how we show up in it. And there are ways to create accountability with boundaries and not letting that whatever happened own you. And that does create accountability, even if it doesn't feel like accountability to that other person. Because sometimes you can't have direct accountability, and sometimes there is no justice. So let's talk a little bit about what justice and accountability are, just to have some clarity. Justice is really an external thing. It's about systems and consequences. It's about what happens to them when something bad happens. Accountability is really much more internal. It's about reclaiming your power and not outsourcing your sense of safety or worth or value to others. That means you're not allowing them to have power over you. So when leaders chase justice, punishment, revenge, or vindication, they lose focus. But when they claim internal accountability, they grow stronger and more centered. True leadership accountability is not about making others own what they did. It's about owning how you respond. That is how you reclaim your power. So let me give you an example. Someone leaves the organization and they go out guns ablazing and they share what their experience is. And you don't necessarily agree with what that experience is. Maybe they are saying all of these horrible things about you as a leader or you as a company, but not taking any accountability for their role in a situation. And this can be super frustrating and it can be really damaging, especially if it's done in a public way. As a leader, you have to choose how you're going to respond to that. And oftentimes when you respond to something like that, it doesn't benefit you. It actually could backfire on you. Or another example, let's say somebody intentionally hurt you, really did something to try to get under your skin or damage your reputation or just cause you emotional pain, but that person's no longer in your life. How do you create accountability there? How do you move forward when something really damaging happens? Here is what internal accountability can look like. First and foremost, it's about boundaries. The first thing you can do is remove access, physical, emotional, and energetic. Stop giving the situation more oxygen. I love this idea of quantum entanglement. Like we are all just energy. And where our thoughts go, our energy flows. If we are giving a person our energy, thinking about them, being frustrated about them, having emotions about them, we are continuing to perpetuate that situation. Even if they're not thinking about you, it still is impacting their energy because you're thinking about them. So you have to have those boundaries. I am not going to have physical, emotional, or energetic connections with this person to give this situation more oxygen and keep me entangled in it when I don't want to. So set those boundaries. You don't have to entangle if you don't want to. A lot of times we feel like ruminating or we can't stop ruminating, but all we do is perpetuate a situation when we don't have those boundaries. The second aspect is neutrality. And I have been focusing on neutrality a lot lately. I'm going through a divorce. As you know, getting a divorce is really hard. And you can tend to either trying to find so much compassion for the other person and what's going on, or you can just be angry and blame the other person. But there is a way to meet in the middle, and that is neutrality. You don't have to necessarily have deep compassion, and you certainly don't have to engage in drama or in those triggers. And this is the same in the workplace, right? You might have a conflict with somebody and you are not in a place that you can have compassion, but you actively do not want to engage in toxic just ickiness. And so you can focus on neutrality. And how you do this is you train your nervous system by taking deep breaths, by understanding why you're being triggered by a situation, by doing that deep work until that person's name, story, or memory no longer triggers an emotional spike. Either way. So, how do I show up with neutrality? How do I say, this situation just is, and I'm not going to put a negative aspect to it or a positive aspect to it? It just is. It's something that I can learn from and grow from, and it just is. So, take those deep breaths whenever you start to feel that emotion rise and retrain your nervous system. Understand your triggers, understand why that relationship might be the way it is or why this situation happened, and have the goal be to be neutral in it, not to necessarily just find compassion, although that's great if you can. But sometimes that's difficult when somebody really hurts you. But you can train yourself to just say, I'm just going to be neutral. When I hear this person's name or think about this situation, I have a neutral response. It is what it is, and I'm letting it go. Number 3, witness yourself. This is about owning it. Tell the truth about what happened. Don't lie to yourself. There's always something to own in any situation that happens. But tell the truth and don't embellish it and don't add your emotional story to it. Just say, this is what happened. This person said this about me and it made me feel this way. Don't gaslight yourself. Don't minimize what happened. Don't blow it out of proportion. Just witness yourself in what happened. And when you do that, you can choose new patterns. Pattern recognition, especially when you are repeating negative patterns, is so incredibly important as you evolve as a human being. Commit that whatever is going on ends with you. You do not have to stay in this pattern. You do not have to repeat the same energetic story with others. And you can only do that if you understand your patterns. So don't be afraid to dig in. Hire a coach, go to therapy, learn the Enneagram. I have a great podcast episode coming up in the future that talks about how you use the Enneagram and music to recognize those patterns and to stop it. But if you are committed to understanding those patterns and saying it ends with me, then you don't have to repeat that same energetic story and you don't have to stay in that loop. You model emotional maturity when you can talk about painful experiences without bitterness. You can do it when you're not trying to seek external accountability, AKA justice. And that is what builds trust and authority with others, but most importantly, with yourself. And that is what truly matters. So, how do you manage your energy and let this go? Because you can be ruminating about a certain situation, something's really painful that happened, and you can rehash it over and over again. And when you do this, it creates an energy leak. Every time you replay a story in your mind or get frustrated or seek revenge or justice or external accountability, you feed that story. So, how do you reclaim your energy? First and foremost, you consciously end mental conversations. If you find yourself playing in that loop, do something to distract yourself. Listen to music, go for a run, talk to a friend, read a book, immerse in something that you love to do, and stop replaying that conversation over and over again. Meditation is a great way to do this. Whenever you play that story again, go, I'm letting it go, and I'm bringing my focus back to my breath. You can visualize sending that energy back to that person and calling your own energy back. So let's say you're super frustrated about somebody who is purposefully trying to damage your reputation. You've owned the situation. Now you can just say, I'm giving that energy back to you. I'm giving it back. And I am reclaiming my own energy. This is such a powerful way to keep your energy clear and not take on what's no longer yours. And finally, ask yourself when you are talking to a person about what's going on, venting about what's going on, ask, am I processing and just releasing emotions, or am I actually continuing to feed this story? And if you're feeding this story because you're venting, because you're frustrated, because you're angry, you're saying negative things about that person, you are not going back to neutrality. If you need to process something, process it. It's okay to verbally process. It's okay to energetically process it. It's okay to cry or get mad, but make sure that you're doing it to get to that point of neutrality, not to just continue to feed that story. When your energy is bound in resentment, frustration, anger, you cannot lead strategically or creatively. Letting go is a performance skill, 100%. Being able to let things go is a powerful leadership skill. It restores clarity and it keeps you cool, calm, and collected, which is what all leaders need to lead well, especially in these chaotic times. Now let's talk about clean compassion. And forgiveness isn't about excusing bad behavior. It's about freeing yourself from being emotionally tethered to it. Just because you're letting a situation go doesn't mean that you are okay with it, that you are accepting it. No, that doesn't have to be the case. Something really bad can happen. Somebody can really hurt you, and you can say, I forgive, but I'm still not accepting what happened and saying that it's okay. And that's what clean compassion is. It's about seeing the pain behind someone's actions without justifying the harm. So I believe that damaged adults were damaged children, and damaged children sometimes don't get the support that they need to deal with the trauma that they have experienced in their lives. And then they grow up as a traumatized adult. And you can see that from another person's perspective and say, okay, yes, I understand that this person had these things happen in their lives. Or maybe you don't know that specifically, but you can say, I can imagine that this person is going through hard times. And so I'm going to be compassionate about this, but I'm not going to justify the harm that they did. That's okay. You can hold those two truths at the same time. I understand why this person did what they did, and I don't have to justify that it was okay because it was hurtful to me. Acknowledging the humanity without losing your boundaries is so important. This is how we become less judgmental human beings. We all screw up. I can guarantee that you have hurt somebody before, and somebody out there in the world is listening to this podcast and going, oh, yeah, so and so, you did that to me, and I'm working on this. We all make mistakes. We all hurt people. Acknowledging the humanity without losing the boundaries of saying, this person can no longer be in my life, and I'm no longer letting this person have any energetic impact over me is 100% okay. Clean compassion allows you to lead with empathy and discernment. I understand I can walk in this person's shoes, and I can choose to not let this person impact my life. And you can do that without being angry or without avoiding the reality of the situation. So here are 3 questions that you can ask yourself when you feel that you have been wronged or misrepresented or hurt on purpose. 1, ask yourself, am I seeking justice or accountability? That's really important. Number 2, am I feeding this story, or am I removing the oxygen from this story by what I'm saying, what I'm doing, the behaviors I'm exhibiting? And number 3, what boundary or choice will help me reclaim my energy and reclaim my power with integrity right now? Those are really important questions. Journal, talk with a mentor, meditate on these questions. This is a leadership practice, and we are all going to have bad things that happen to us, whether we're leaders or not. But if we really want to be great leaders, we can ask ourselves these questions and really get to the heart of the matter. So what are the takeaways from this episode? 1, justice is external and accountability in this situation is internal. Leaders cannot always control what happens or what is said or what mistakes are made, but we can always control how we respond. Any human can do that, whether you're a leader or not. This is such a powerful mindset. This is the ownership mindset. Number 2, boundaries create accountability. Protect your energy and stop giving the situation more oxygen. You can say, no, this is accountability. I might not be able to have justice or hold this person accountable, but I can have boundaries and I can choose to not let this person impact my life negatively going forward. Number 3, neutrality equals freedom. This is so important. When the memory no longer spikes your nervous system, you've reclaimed your power. You don't have to go to compassion, right? That is an ultimate end goal, but you don't have to start with that in mind. Start with neutrality. It is such a much easier place to get to than compassion. And once you get to neutrality, then if you choose to, you can work towards compassion. Number 4, energy management is leadership. Rumination drains creativity and clarity that you need to lead well. Do not let yourself spin. Break that spinning cycle by going for a walk, by talking to a friend, by reading a book, by doing something that distracts you so that you are not in that loop. Reclaim your power, reclaim your energy. And then number 5, clean compassion is strength. Once you get to neutrality, work towards clean compassion. Let go with love, with boundaries, not bitterness, not anger. Your life will be so much better. I hope this episode gave you lots of food for thought. I really liked thinking through this idea of accountability versus justice, and it really gave me a lot more, just discernment on when accountability, especially internal accountability, is so much better than trying to seek external accountability or justice. With that, I will leave you to your day. If you think someone can benefit from this episode, please be sure to share it with them. And if you like this podcast, please write a review, share it with a friend, and go onto YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to it. Thanks so much. Have a great day.